Perfect. Thank you for that. So our main goal is to be able to, rigorously, competently, and efficiently conduct data analysis on quant data. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So we want everyone else to accomplish that. So there's a few things we have to talk about first, which is what's an independent and dependent variable, and then what's a level of measurement. So those have to be understood as baseline. Okay. Then we're going to go into other things, which is very typical of any kind of analysis. Essentially, I have to get the data in. Okay. I have to clean the data. What does that mean? Well, if it's coming from Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey, they often have several rows of headers. Let me just show you that. This might be an example of that. So, there's several rows of headers when we just really need the variable title and the data. Sometimes there's Likert type items in there that are not in number form. We have to change those to numbers, and then, hey guys, we have to, create a pretest score there. So oftentimes in surveys, we need to, average or sum our data together. And then, of course, we have to conduct the analyses to examine particular research questions or study aims. We then have to, look at the output, put that in our own voice. It drafts it in English, but you have to put it in your own voice, make sure the tables are the way you want them, and then understand that. So that's kind of the arc of what has to happen. And I'll demonstrate kind of how to clean using this data set. But I just want to show you what it looks like at first. Okay, so if there's questions about creating an account, does everybody know how to create an account? I have example data sets in there. If you do have a question about that, Melissa, they should put it in the chat or raise their hand. Or
they should put it in the Q&A moving forward. So the chat will be disabled and all questions should go to the Q&A during the session.
Thank you. All right. So let's do first things first, which is let's just talk about levels of measurement. So basically, there's 3 levels of measurement: nominal, ordinal, and scale. Nominal is Latin for name only. By the way, intellectus is Latin for understanding. So the idea of understanding statistics or understanding qualitative, hence the name intellectus. So nominal is name only, Republican, Democrat, Independent, male, female, just names. There's no order to things here, okay? And certain tests require that you have nominal level variables. So that's why it's important to know what that level is. The other level is ordinal or ordered, okay? And the idea here is that there is an order, but they're not necessarily the same intervals in between or the same volumes in between. You can have an 8-ounce Coca-Cola, 12-ounce Coca-Cola, and then a big gulp of 32 ounces or however big they make these things. So they are ordered, but they're not necessarily the same distance or volume in between. Horse races is another one. First horse comes in first. The next horse comes in second by a nose. Third horse is 10 lengths behind. So again, you have an order, but not equal spacing. You have name and order. Scale, you have name, you have order, and equal distances. So like the ruler that's there, going from 1 inch to 2 inches is the same as going from 2 inches to 3 inches and 3 inches to 4 inches. So, you do have an order, and they are named 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, but they're also equally distanced, okay? Days are like that, and often lots of measures are scale level variables, okay? I'll take a quick sidebar. Occasionally I get a question of, is Likert type or Likert type scales scale, right? If I have, strongly disagree to strongly agree, the basic rule of thumb is if you have 5 or 7 points, you can treat it as a scale variable. If it's 4 or 3, then you cannot. Okay, so and maybe Melissa, you can throw that into the Q&A or into something that people can see from the website that kind of speaks to that because it does come up. Okay, so I will just go through just quickly. Fruit is a nominal level of measurement. There's no, these are just names of fruits, no order to them. Ordinal data, sedentary levels, activity levels is another way of looking at that. Scale, thermometers, rulers, things of that sort. So, all right, I'm just going to go through that. The other thing I want to mention, in addition to levels of measurement, by the way, if you have a question about level of measurement, likely someone else on the Zoom also does. So feel free to ask that in the Q&A. I also want to talk about the names of variables. So, an independent and a dependent variable. So basically an independent variable is something that often the researcher manipulates. So I want to look at run times by gender. The researcher is saying, I want to look at it by gender or by age or by something else. They are not manipulating in a negative sense. They're manipulating in terms of deciding what that variable is. The dependent variable often depends on the observation or the participant, like runtime. So I want to look at are there differences in the 5K runtime by gender? The actual time it takes them dependent variable, depends upon the runners. And then as the researcher, I can say, well, my interest is looking at it by gender as the independent variable. The other quick variable is called a covariate. And a covariate is things you want to control for. You want to neutralize the effect of a covariate potentially. What are these characteristics? Well, to be a covariate, it has to be related to the dependent variable. If there's no relationship, let's just take age, for example. I want to neutralize the effect of age, and I want to do a clean study to see if there are differences on 5K runtime by gender, but I don't want age to be in it. So, but for a covariate to be a covariate or to have an impact, it has to be related to the dependent variable. So in my example, so age would have to be correlated, for example, with runtime. If they were, okay, whatever, maybe from 10 to 80, the older you get, the faster you run or the slower you run or whatever, but they have to be related. So you want to check out that potential covariates are related to the dependent variable first. All righty. Question: is number of sessions attended in a program scale? So number of sessions. So typically, yes. I mean, if it's 1 session or 2 sessions or 5 sessions, you assume the number of sessions is scale. So yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and get logged into Intellectus. Okay. All right. And in the meantime, I will get to it myself. All right. Turn the fan on. Okay. So, all right. If there's questions about that, again, please raise your hand and let one of our staff help you log in. It is a web-based tool, so there is no updating to be had. When we update, we push one time, and when the update goes to everyone. Okay. Let me get these things. Okay. So let's just look at the territory for a moment. So the top 4 buttons are really about the analysis. The projects is where we upload data or get data in. Management is where we do things like, create composite scores or transform variables. Plots is where we plot data, and analysis is where we conduct the analysis. So this is really, these top 4 buttons really speak to the doing of an analysis. The bottom 3 buttons are really more a priori kinds of functionality. The decision tree kind of helps us figure out what tests to run. The data plan tells us what assumptions are related to those tests. And the power analysis is related to the sample size. Okay, so those are the a priori pieces of it. So, but I want to focus mostly on, well, your data as well, but conducting the analysis. So, before we kind of get into all of these things, I do want to walk through just kind of some data cleaning things. So I'm just going to upload that Excel file that I just highlighted earlier. So I'm just going to go to under projects. I can go to upload data. You can also choose an example data set, which is what we'll do after we clean data. And then we can enter data manually too, or paste in a flat file. So, but let's just do a few minutes of the cleaning, okay? So I can upload a data file. I happen to have it in Excel. I then go ahead and choose that file and then open it. Once it's selected, I can click upload file. Then it dumps me right into the data cleaning wizard. And it's doing things like getting rid of multiple headers, which Qualtrics surveys often have, update variable names, fix misspellings. You can, I'll show you what that means. And then really what most surveys have are converting these Likert type items into values. So I can then, create a composite score or subscale. So let's just do that. So in Intellectus, we really just need the variable name, okay? And the data underneath it. We don't need the full question. In fact, the tables would look horrible that way. And we don't need all those levels there, okay? If it's male or female, you just put male or female in there. So I'm going to delete those 2 rows of headers by endorsing those, apply changes. Now my data looks better already, and go to next. Then I want to edit variable names. So if I wanted to, put that as gender or, okay, or sometimes the, maybe these are too long. So you may want to just put little short abbreviations there. So this is the place to edit variable names, apply changes, and go to next. Next, I want to get rid of misspelled variables. So if I click merge, I can see that I have disagree with 3 E's and disagree with 2 E's. This is before and after the merge. So I would just click merge. So yes, I want to apply those changes to variables that have these different spellings. Then next, I want to work on my Likert type items. I actually have a 5-point agreement scale. So my data looks like this. I want to turn them into numbers like that. So I'm going to check all of the variables that have this, turn them into numbers. I'm going to apply those changes. And then I'm going to, okay, go to next. So I do want to create subscales. So to do that, you can see I have several items that pretest. I want to create a pre-test subscale. So I'm going to do 4 things here. So one is I'm going to create a name of a new scale, pre-test. How I'm arranging them is I'm just going to average them. I'm going to endorse the items that are part of that pretest. If there's any reverse coded items or asked in the negative, I can reverse code as well as average under this name pretest. So, and I have a 1 to 5 scale. So, create a name, select average or sum, put the items that you want into the pretest subscale, reverse code items, and identify what those mins and maxes are. I'll do that one more time for the post test. You're going to average. I select the post test items, reverse code where necessary. Okay. And then go to next. And if you want an ID variable, that's fine. And then finish. This is the, if it's a alphanumeric, it's going to come up as nominal. You can change these later. And if it's a number, it's going to come up as scale. You can change those later as well. But that's what that variables with our 2 new variables and our levels of measurement. So our data is almost clean. I'm just going to do 2 other quick things, and then we'll jump into examples. Okay, so one is that I did note that age was a ranges, so I would make that ordinal, and I might want that to be, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, and then 50 plus. So, and then you could either make a new variable or just put that right in the same variable, which is what I typically do. Should also note that there's videos on almost every dialog box under data management, plots, and analysis, little videos about how to do stuff. So now my data is almost totally clean. Just want to do one other thing. So sometimes we have open-ended questions, and you can go and read through those and say, hey, what kind of themes are emerging? This is not a deep dive into qualitative, but we do have a text classification functionality, which is if I either manually select a number of categories or automatically. So what this does is it will take these open-ended questions, and certainly I spoke to a gal this morning, she's, has 100 of these things. You can easily bucket all of those open-ended. This was about transformational leadership, and those were bucketed into communication skills, thinking skills, transformational leadership skills, and value-driven leadership practices. So just as a quick way to convert open-ended into categories using text classification. And then you can use that variable to interact with other variables like, hey, are the differences on post-test scores by your kind of open-ended bucket or category. All right. So that's just a quick way to clean data. For those that do not have data readily available, you can just open up under discipline, perhaps. You can just go to Masterclass, Education and Course. So if you just select that, okay, and then you can follow along and practice with other kinds of things using this data set. So I can act. So let's just do a few minutes here, and then we'll get to folks that have shared their data with us. Just to say, once you have data in, you can, as I alluded to earlier, you can really change the levels of measurement here. All right. You can, if you're making new scales, you want to download that new data. Okay. So make sure that you do that. 10 typical plots. I can do a profile plot, look at GPA pre and post by movie. Let's see if that makes a darn bit of difference. What's happening there? So GPA pre, you can see 3 different movies. They're pretty dispersed in terms of the GPA. Godfather has higher scores in GPA. Next is Shawshank Redemption, and then finally Endgame. And then at post test, they're all kind of converging at a higher level. And then under the analysis, just to say that we have, descriptive statistics, correlations, z-tests and proportions tests, all of the t-tests, and the ANOVAs, MANCOVAs or MANOVAs, various regressions, chi-squares and other non-parametrics, structural equation modeling and other types of analyses, and then mediation, moderation, things of that sort. Okay. And just to give you a quick flavor, for descriptives, I can click descriptives. All you do is click add or modify the variables. And if I just, want to look at all of these. So you just put in the variables, hit calculate. And you can see an APA table comes out and a little write-up about what's in there in English. For the scale variables, APA table, helpful scroll over, and a little description. To do simple tests, like a paired t-test, I select paired t-test. I can add my variables, pre-test versus post-test. Okay. And hit calculate. So you can see for this test and all of these tests, the assumptions are built in. One assumption of paired t-test is normality. It's assessed with the Shapiro-Wilk is one way. The tool runs the test and interprets the test. The results are in plain English. It was significantly different. This is one way of reporting that t-test APA table. We can see post-test was higher than pre-test. You have the interpretation in there. Scroll overs, and then plots. Also, when the assumption of the quantitative assumption is violated, the non-parametric test, that is a test that is looking at pre-post, but does not have the assumption, can be enabled. Once I've finished my analysis, I just go to download document, and that's it. So without further ado, let's just get to it. So Melissa, maybe you can tell me which one I should start with.
If you shared your project, if you want to just raise your hand.
And we want to work with faculty first, though, correct?
Yeah, I believe that they're all students.
Oh, they're all
that have
students.
shared
Okay,
it. Yeah.
No problem. I'll just bang through them then. Okay, would age be considered scalar or ordinal? Good question. You could have age groups, right? If there was 20 to 30, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, but then 50 plus. They're all 10 age groups. You go 50 plus, 50 goes to 103. Well, that's not the same interval, right? So in that case, it's going to be ordinal, right? Because they're not equal intervals all the way through. If it's a straight up number, what is your age? Well, if you're 20 versus 21 versus 31 versus, they're all equal intervals at that. So it depends upon how you ask that question and how you collected that age data.
Okay.
Okay.
The first one you want to open up?
Yep. All
All
right.
right.
So AGARC 226.
All right. I believe that's you, Alicia.
All right. Alicia, load that up. I'm going to take that over for the moment. And whatever we do, by the way, you will have it on your side too. Okay. So, did we talk during the week? I don't know if we talked about it. Can we unmute her?
Yep, she's unmuted.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi, good morning. So my tool was asking demographic questions, and then going on to my actual intervention was answering yes or no to my questionnaire. Some participants actually didn't answer the question, so I left them blank. So there
Yep.
was that point where I was a little, okay, is this okay with when it comes to entering data? Should I just leave it blank? And then I also asked a question about asking participants, what is your age? And so I'm not sure if that's a scale or ordinal, but it seems like it could possibly, I need to change it to ordinal.
Well, when you ask the actual number, you can leave it just like that, scale, because 45 to 46, it's the same distance from 54 to 55, so that's perfect. Gender's perfect, language perfect. Okay, so now you're asking lots of questions here, these yes, no questions, as you said. So are these all going to be combined in some way? You're looking at these individually?
It's all going to be combined. So the end goal is for me to get a percentage of the participants needing help. For example, so all these questions basically ask whether they need food assistance, if they need assistance to
Right.
transportation or unemployment. And I'll just be able to present the data as this is the percentage that needs help. And this is the percentage that, whatever.
But you can have a percent, you can have a percentage with each of these. Is that what you want? Or you want a global need, or both?
Probably a global, yeah, it'll be more
I think
global.
you could do, I think you could do both. So let's just, let me just tackle your earlier question first, though. What do you do when we have let's just say this individual didn't answer a score and I want a global answer. You can impute, okay, so as to not to lose this participant here, you can impute that value, yes, no, or a number. So you can use all of their other scores. So, however, if you have a systematic missing, okay, then I would not use that. So you have kind of randomly missing data and other missing data. So, okay. And I was told don't spend too much time. So let's just do this. Let me just look at that real quick. Okay. So let's just, it's simple. So we're going to go to analyses. No matter what, you always want descriptives. Okay. So age, gender, language, race, education. And I'd kind of keep these the way they are, kind of separate the demographic, okay? And you can, look at the, frequency and percents of those variables. Okay? All right. Then I would probably go through and look at each of these things. So we only take 10 at a time, so the tables look relatively okay. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me get rid of these. Three, 4. Okay. So I'm going to run those real quick. And then I'm going to do the other ones. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we'll do these other 6.
So is that how I will select it based on if I want a group, that's how I would group it and get that percentage?
Well, I'm going to show you. Well, I'm going to show you the group process in a second.
Okay.
But this is the individual items. Okay, so individual items. Hey, guess what? 57% said that they had food insecurity. Housing instability, 32%. utility needs 59%, and so forth, okay? So at the individual level, that's what that looks like, all right? Good?
Yes, yeah, thank you. That was fast, but good thing this is recorded.
Yep. So then let's just do one other quick thing. So I'm going to turn all of those, all of those yes, nos into numbers and sum them. So basically, I want to recode multiple. I need to select all button, but okay. I'm going to turn these all into scale, all of these guys. So okay. So I have all my items. I want to turn them into scale. Well, how so? I want a yes to be 1. I want a no to be 0. And I'm going to keep your nominal the way it is. No problem. So I'm going to make all new variables. Okay. So submit. So what this does is it turns these things with the underscore scale into numbers. Now I can create a total score. Let's just say, it's the STABIL, instability total. Okay. And then I want to sum these things, okay? And I want to sum these guys. I check all there too, but all right. So I have all of these items that I can now create, basically added them up, okay? Now I have a new variable called instability total, okay? Now, what's interesting is we can do a few things here. One, we can plot, what does that look like under I think a histogram would be the way to go here. So this is kind of what's happening. So that's kind of what it looks like. You have some people kind of flat. You have some people with low instability scores okay. So it seems relatively flat to me. The other thing I would do is to just do another descriptives, okay, on just that instability total. Hey, you know what? When we look at all of these folks and we look at all of their needs, on average, okay, how many items have they ticked off? That answer is nearly 7. Okay. So they range from 1 to 14. But their average is about 7. So on average, that population, or that sample, has about 7 needs. That's something to know. You really can't get that from looking at this, right? But you can kind of get a sense of that. Okay, so is this working for you?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right. Okay. And then by the way, just take that project over and you got that. All right, so let's go to MHHAO 56.
All right, if you can just raise your hand if that's yours.
And while you're doing that, there's a question. In order to calculate the sum of various scales, does level of measurement have to be scale or stay ordinal? Great question. Just like I just did there, be it nominal or be it ordinal, you got to turn them to numbers because you can't. How are you going to add strongly disagree with neutral with agree? What does that mean? You have to put numbers and assign numbers to those. Strongly disagree 1, strongly agree 5. Now I can average them or sum them. Okay, so let's just hop in here. Okay, so what's your name?
Yeah, Meng Yao.
Hi, Manya. Where are you from?
Yeah. Arizona.
Arizona. Okay. Manya. All right. So what are we doing here?
So my project is about to improve the advanced care planning complication rates through the educational workshop. So I have like a pre-survey, post-survey, 1 month follow-up survey regarding the workshop. Yeah.
Got it. So
So
you have pre, post, and then follow up.
yes.
Okay.
So
And now, have you created those composite scores yet or not yet?
not yet, just the raw data.
All right, so without
Um,
putting too much in there, so you saw what I just did with Alicia. So we have to turn, you have numbers here. This is great, and you have these, and you have the pre here, right? So
yeah, I have a question for the survey. The survey have 9 questions, like the same survey for the pre, post,
Yeah.
and 1 month follow-up. It's
Yeah.
it's a Likert scale, like a
Yeah.
1 to 5. I'm not sure it should be under the scale or under the the ordinal data.
No, we should turn, as I mentioned at the top, we should turn those 5-point Likert scales into scale variables, okay?
Okay.
So are
Thank
all
you.
of these pre 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then post?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So these need to all be, and they're all on a 1 to 5 scale, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All of these need to be scale.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna put it right in there. Okay, and then all these need to be scale. Fine. And then all of these, hey, wait a second. How can you do a 2 and a 3? So were these people right in between?
They have like a multiple choice.
Well, then you can pick 1 to 5. You can't be a 2 and a 3 though.
Oh yeah, like only one question. Like you can choose 2. Like you can choose 2 or 3 answer. Like
On the Likert type item?
I think only this question is not a like skill question. This ask like hey who will help you make the decision. You
Okay,
can choose yourself, your children, like this. Yeah.
so maybe that needs to be not part of our survey, okay? We can,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
but these can go together and these can go together, correct?
Okay. Okay.
That's true?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, great. So let's just turn the other ones into scale. I'm not gonna do all of them, but, okay, so we'll put these into scale. So, and then we'll just leave that the way it is.
Uh-huh.
So we'll keep the scale. I should just be smarter about this and just do them all at the same time, but okay, we're here. So, so aside from the pre, so let's just change these. So that's fine. And then the post. Well, confident, you also have another one here. We're multiple choice, okay?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
again, okay, so with that pre, confident, pre-confident. So when you see you have 0, now you have 0. So basically, I mean, you have, if you're combining things, typically they all need to be on the same measure. If they're all 1 to 5, if they're different, like confidence, like provider or whatever, then keep them separate, no problem, okay? But
Okay.
only want, I mean, you're bringing up a point of, is there, okay, is there a scoring sheet from, did you make up the survey or is it an existing survey?
It's an existing survey.
Okay.
There are probably some of the wrong data I entered into. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you have to manage these things. I don't want to spend time doing it, but if in fact that was a correct answer, it could be 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4. I'm probably not going to want to put that with these other variables. So typically the existing surveys have a scoring sheet and they're going to say, I'm going to average these items like I did on the self-esteem, or turn, as I did with Alicia, turn all of those yes, nos into numbers, okay? 0 or 1, present or not, and then add them. But if you have all these different types of things, we just have to think about that, okay?
Got it.
Feel free to schedule, happy to talk about that, okay?
Oh, okay. Can I ask one more question?
Yes,
Like
ma'am.
if the participants have some missing data, like you only have the pre-survey, like they don't have the like no post-survey, no 1 month follow-up survey, do you count into when you do the data analysis? Do you count in or like
So if
how
I'm
does?
comparing their pre to post to follow-up, I would probably
Uh-huh.
delete them because they're not going to be included in the analysis anyway. Right? So if I
Got
only
it.
have pre, but I didn't follow up with post or follow-up, I'm probably going to delete that row.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to do one thing. It's going to two things. It's going to clean up your data because we're not going to use them anyway. And
Got it.
also,
Mhm.
you're not going to have their demographics in there since they're not going to be used. You don't need their demographics in there.
Okay.
You can have demographics
Mhm.
of somebody that's not going to be used in there. No, you want typically the demographics of the folks who are going to be part of the analysis.
Got it. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So let's move on to Kath Reed.
If you could raise your hand. Okay.
How do we choose while we're holding on to, so Max asks, how do we handle response that allow you to pick more than one option? Well, I would maybe just describe that by itself, but it's going to be difficult if I'm, for example, if in Alicia's thing, you were insecure or not about different food or employment and so forth. If you have multiple options, like, I guess I guess I want to say is I would just describe it by itself. All of the things that combine together have to be measured similarly. So you can't have one item that I can pick all four choices, and the other ones I'm on one Likert type scale. So my quick answer is look at that separately. Okay. All righty. So, all right, let's just go to Kath Reed. Hi, Kath Reed.
Hello, how are you?
Good. If you can speak right into that microphone, that'd be great.
Okay, are you able to hear me better now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So what do we have going on here?
So I was the one who asked the question about changing my scales from ordinal to scale value
Yep.
in order to compute the sum for each scale. So I was trying to actually do that before you selected
That's fine.
me. So what I
These are all scale, right?
yes, correct.
Okay. So let me give you a quick and these are scales as well? Well, not SS.
Those are my demographic variables.
Okay, so any of the SS's. So you give me an opportunity to go to recode multiple, and I need to check all here. I need to change these to scale. I need to check all. So all these need to be scale.
Correct.
All right, so you can do this in one swipe. Melissa, please mention a powers that be that we really need to check all here.
Okay.
All right. Some of these are already scale, so you're going to be fine with that, but okay. Sorry for you guys watching me slowly do this. Okay, I think I got them all. Okay, so I'm making sure that they're all scale. And now I'm gonna put, so it doesn't matter, but I mean, so they're gonna go from 0 to 7, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so, and I'm gonna put them right in the same variable, okay? Replace that variable. Now they're all in one shot. It's easier than going in one by one. Now they're all scale. Now I can create those composite scores, okay?
Okay.
So let's just do one of those and then you can do the other ones. So variable calculator. So what is the name of the first subscale?
SSQ1, or the actual name of it, or,
You can do shorthand.
okay, SS,
SSQ,
that'll work.
fine. And then do we want to average them or do we want to sum them?
Some,
Okay, quick question. Do all this, well, let's just do the sum. So typically, so this is the SS. So I like to, well, if the author said to sum them, then sum them, because they may have different cutoffs, that's fine. I'll just keep it at that. So that's it, right? All of those guys?
correct.
So what we did is we went to the variable calculator from the data management. I created a new variable name. I picked sum and then just selected the variables and hit submit. And voila, here's my sum variables.
Okay.
All right, so you can do that with the other scales. Then what are you going to do with all these scales?
So once I basically get the sum of each, I am trying to do a mediation and then see if one of them is also a moderator in a relationship between them.
That's fine. So I'm just going to pick variables at random, but I'll show you the mediation moderation. So
Okay,
it's under analyses and it's under advanced and mediation. And it's so darn simple. All you do is select moderation and select your DV. I'm just going to select them at random, okay? Select your IV, independent variable, and select your potential moderator. That's all you're doing. You're selecting it here. You're putting in your 3 variables, okay, and hit calculate. And as with all the other analyses, assumptions are built in. The regression table is built in, and you can see what's happening. This is the moderator, SSQ3. You can see the relationship between your IV and your DV with high and low of your potential moderator. Isn't that cool?
I have one question though. What if I was trying to do like the bootstrapping effect? Is that able to be included in this?
I think for mediation, I think that bootstrapping is already in there, and
Okay.
moderation, I think. Oh, this is the mean centering of the predictors. I need that for the other one. For the mediation, bootstrapping is in there already.
Okay,
I don't see that for moderation. So, but let's click here, mediation, and I think that that bootstrapping is sitting right here. Resampling.
yep, okay, yep, thank you.
But Melissa, I would ask Marlon why we don't have resampling for the moderation. I think I'm not an expert at that, by the way. I was just, when I was doing, 100 of them last night, I was aware that there was bootstrapping going on, but I didn't
Mhm.
think about the moderation. So that's how you do it. So
Okay, this was helpful, thank you.
perfect. Good luck. And just so one quick caveat for everyone. So the results are in plain English, but this has been published with Turnitin. So I need everyone to put this in your own voice or throw it into chat or whatever to make sure. Okay, so just a heads up there. Just don't throw it into your paper. Edit it. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Good luck.
I think one more is going to be Dana. And Dana, if you can raise your hand,
GSS.
I believe so.
Very good. Okay. All right. Okay. So this, yeah. Hi, Dana. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So I like clean data. So I would get rid of, so 2 things going on here. One, unless you really need this, I'd get rid of them. Okay.
Okay.
Go into that data cleaning, like everyone, I'm assuming if you didn't say yes, you're not part of this thing. And then I got a long question. So I'm going to just dump these 2 things. Okay. Is that okay?
Oh no, that's fine. You were moving a little fast. I'm old, so I was a little slow.
No, it's just, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. That's why I'm glad that this is recorded. So I'm under data management, I'm gonna go to edit data. And I'm gonna click here, hold down, and then just, so I left clicked and held, and then I'm right clicking and then removing columns. Okay. So these are examples of where we clean up these variable names, okay? So I'm still under edit data. So I would, just put, gender, okay? All right, so I would just clean up those names. Why? Because when you make tables, you don't want that long, ugly name there. You're gonna want a nice clean gender, male, females, okay? So I would do that for each one of them, all right?
Okay.
That's one thing. Okay, and then you have this kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, so when you do that data cleaning, I would probably load this up again
Mhm.
and maybe change those variable names in that data cleaning wizard. Just so, because again, yeah, so data clean, just go to edit data and start cleaning. That's one piece of it. Because if I go to here and I go to, describe Q6, descriptives, okay. If I have these with these really long names, well, it's not the worst thing in the world, but okay. That's not the worst thing in the world. Okay, I'd still keep them shorter, frankly. All right. So one part of data cleaning, change the variable names so it's concise. The other thing is start going through and cleaning these up as well. So this is obviously, it's going to be ordinal. So I'm going to go here to ordinal. So I just carried it down, this caret here, and went to ordinal. And then just make sure they're in order. So 0 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, more than 20, and then put that right back in that same variable. All right, so just get those cleaned up first. All right. All right, then what's your research question?
So I was going to ask, so my research is basically on evaluating clinical decision making of fetal anomalies since the overturning of Roe. And so there are several scenario-based questions in there. So my question from a labeling perspective, especially using short terms, what is your recommendation on how to label that?
Well, first of all, are some of these items going together?
Yes.
Okay, so you need to have, so I would just, I would have, I'm a little bit old school, so I like paper. So I'd have my survey and I'd be like, this question is Q11, okay? This question is Q whatever. And then I'm gonna just label that Q10, Q11. Then I'm gonna know, hey gosh, I want to average Q1 to Q11, okay? So you would so it looks like, are these and these related?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so you already have them. So I mean, go to edit data, and then put in, Q11 or whatever that one's called. So you did the right thing by putting numbers there. So that's a good start. You have no impact is 5. So severe impact is 1. So this is my preference. Doesn't have to be your preference. My preference is high numbers are a lot. Okay. So I would flip those around. I would have severe impact be 5, low impact and no impact 0 or 1. So just so I keep it in my brain, but so when you average these things, or some of these things, high numbers mean high impact or severe impact, and low numbers mean no impact, okay, or little impact.
Okay.
All right. So, and you can flip those very quickly, by the way, by recoding multiple. And you can select the items because you'll have nice clean names here, okay? And then just, let's just take one of them. I won't mess with it, but it's cute. Let's just take 10. Column 10, column 5. It doesn't, either one of them. So it's gonna be scale. Just whatever ones they are. So when they're here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I need to turn the 5, this, I won't do this, but you know, the 1's gonna go to a 5, the 2's gonna go to a 4. So just renumber them,
Mm-hmm.
place in the same variable and submit.
Gotcha. Okay.
You can do them all at the same time. Okay, by that reverse code. Oh wait, what was I under? Recode multiple? Sorry. No, I think I would just do what I just did. Recode
Okay.
multiple, put them all in there, flip the numbers, and then we know high numbers, high impact. Then I can just simply go to the variable calculator and average them or add them up.
Got it. Okay.
What are you gonna do when you have these scores? Then what?
So then I want to run a comparison to see if their decision making is impacted by the type of restrictive state they're located in.
So, okay, so does state predict clinical decision or clinical decision? Yeah, the state predicts clinical decision, correct?
Correct.
Well, heck, I don't need I don't need any math for that, but okay. Um, so let me guess here. So where are the states here?
So as far as the question number,
Oh, no, you said whether the state
oh,
predicts.
so they're in different categories. So there are 4 different categories, whether they're total ban up to 18 weeks, greater than 18 weeks, and no ban.
Total ban. Go ahead, what were the other ones?
Up to 18 weeks,
Okay, yeah,
greater than 18 weeks, and then no ban.
greater than 18 weeks. Okay, I would do 2 things with that.
Uh-huh.
I would, do I have a variable that has that, by the way?
You should, as far as what state they're in.
Right here, Q6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, exit. So I would do 2 things. So one, I would make that ordinal, okay?
Okay.
So no ban, total ban, up to 18, greater than 18 weeks. Okay, good. All right. So one has ordinal. So I would do 2 things with this data. Certainly run descriptives. Okay. You want to run descriptives on your composite scores, okay, of clinical decision and of that variable Q6. Then do 2 things, and I'm just going to show you real quick. One thing you need to be doing is you need to run correlations, Spearman. It takes an ordinal variable like Q6 or column 6, okay? That's fine. Q6 with some other variable. Wait, see, now I'm confused about which ones this is. I think it was X6. Let me just put both these. So correlate that variable, ordinal, no ban, 18, over 18 total, okay, with clinical decision. You're going to get a correlation to say, are these variables related? That's one thing you want to do. So you're going to get a correlation, and basically you're correlating those variables, okay?
Okay.
Clinical decision total and what your status is, okay, as a state. That's one thing. The other thing you want to do is you want to run an ANOVA, okay, using that clinical decision-making score as our dependent variable, our outcome variable, okay? And our independent variable is the category of what state you're in. No, 18, over 18 total, okay? So you want to look at both of those. They give you slightly different information. So you want to run those, okay? So you want to run the Spearman and you want to run the ANOVA.
Got it.
All right. What else are you doing there?
So the other thing is, in the scenario, I asked them Ideally, would they discuss termination, and then given the limitations of their state, would they discuss termination to do a relationship to see if the response changed?
Okay, okay, so discuss termination, and what's the other piece of that?
So it's really the
And
same,
if the decision changed?
right? So it's essentially the same question. So it's like, ideally, would you do it? And then based off of the limitations in your state, would you do it?
Okay. So it sounds like practical versus ideal. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
you probably want to do, and then you probably want to do a pair t-test there. Okay.
Okay.
The differences between those scores. Okay.
Gotcha.
Average of ideal, we have average of practical or where you are, and then are there differences there statistically? Again, sounds like a good study. I don't know if it's gonna make a darn bit of difference, but I think it's a great study.
Concur.
All right. And
Thank
if you
you
need
so
help, Melissa or Ashley, can you put in my email address or how
We
people?
put in the link for people if they want to work with you directly, they can schedule time to speak with you. We'll put it in again. And I believe Dana, you're already scheduled, so
Yes.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very quick with these things. So I can help move along projects very quickly, like typically an hour. And we're kind of done. And it'll boost you, 2 weeks or a month forward. All right. So then there's a question in Q&A. Respondents were asked to choose where they purchase groceries. Okay. Walmart, Costco, Sam's, Amazon, etc. Well, those are so for that, Max, I mean, what I would probably do is I would have 4 columns there. Walmart, yes or no. Costco, yes or no. So I would feather out their responses instead of putting 1, 2, 3, 4. I would put each of those options as its own variable, and then yes or no on each of those. All right. And then maybe total. How many options do they have? Well, they have 4 there. Other people may have 1 or something like that. All right. I hope I didn't get too much into the weeds with folks. I hope you have some sense of what to do and at least the capability of the tool. And the tool is, just by the way, I'm not ashamed. I mean, it's a $59 a month tool. So you can go and maybe put the link of that, Melissa, in the Q&A or however you're communicating in the chat. So if you need hand holding, happy to hold your hand through it. I'm at it a long time. If you want to try it for yourself, there's a link to purchase it for $59. And frankly, there's even a 7-day free trial. So if you get through it, you don't even have to pay a penny. But I think the main goal is, help you get through in a rigorous fashion without, we're burning daylight, all of us. So let's just move along here. Anything else I'm missing, Melissa?
nope, I think that's it. Everyone will have access to the tool for the rest of the day. And then I put where you can log in. We'll send the recording. All of this information will be in there as well. And the link if you want to schedule with Dr. Lanny. And then if you have additional questions, you can just reply to that email.
Terrific. Thank you all for your attention. I wish you well in your research. And let's just do good research and let's get it out there. The world needs good research without us spending, a month or 2 more, a long time to conduct it. A lot of people I talk to, they're collecting data October, November. We're in February. Let's just move everything along here. Anyway, I wish you speed and rigor. So have a great rest of February. Happy Valentine's Day early, and be well all. Okay, bye-bye now.